What is up, my dashing dudes? I am the Hans TV, and I hope that y'all are ready for your weekly dose of absolute stupidity, because today, we're diving right back in to r/stories about Kevin. Our first Kevin for the day comes to us courtesy of Head to Heels. Kevina costs me a week of my classes and makes me look like a criminal. Here's a Kevina I unfortunately had to interact with for my visa application. Now this might seem alien to a lot of you, but with an Indian passport, you need a visa to visit most countries. Minor context, I was moving from Mumbai to Milan in 2009 for a few fashion courses for about a year. This would be my first time across the ocean, since I've already been to the Asian countries as well as a few Middle Eastern ones. My family didn't want me to be alone in my first stint with Europe, so we planned a family vacation about a month prior to my classes, where we would visit a few friends and family in Brussels, Stockholm, and then finally go to Milan, visit my school, and even find me a place to stay. For the vacation, I had to have a tourist visa, obviously, and my travel agent advised that we should return a week before my departure to apply for my student visa, which would take about 3 to 4 working days to process. Easy, right? Well, as luck would have had it, while I was on my vacation, the Italian rules changed, and now it takes 7 working days to process a visa. Enter Kevina. She was working at the Italian desk at the visa office in Mumbai when I had to apply for my student visa. I go to Kevina, and I already know I'm missing the first couple of days of my class and will have to rebook my flight because while I had 8 days in hand, 2 of them were holidays. So I go to Kevina with a hopeful smile. My mom always told me to be extra nice to government workers, no matter how shrewd they can be, since they have the power to decline whatever you want. So I thought if I was very, very nice, she could perhaps help? I was wrong. She took a look at my passport and said I can't get a new visa because I already have an existing Schengen visa from the Belgian consulate. She was half right. She was talking about my holiday tourist visa that was a single entry visa and by default had a validity of 45 days. She said I would have to apply after about 2 weeks once the validity expired. I almost cried. I started to reason with her. My single entry tourist visa was already stamped, which renders it invalid for further use. She simply refused to listen. She said it was still valid. So I asked her, so I'll be able to travel again using this visa? And she stared at me and said, yes. At this point, I was amused at her sheer stupidity. I was also very close to being rude. I realized she was just another government worker who was going by the book, with no actual knowledge and clearly no experience of international travel. Not that I was an expert on the same, but I was still well read enough to know slightly better and apply logic. So I heaved a sigh of defeat and asked her what I can do, because I have to go to school. She then came up with, you can cancel the visa and then apply for the new one. She also assured that cancellation will take 1 full day to process, so I agreed to go for it. I had to write a handwritten formal letter asking for my visa to be cancelled with a few other details, and then I submitted it to her. She told me to come back the next day after 2 p.m. The next day, I commute 45 minutes again to get to this office. I see Kevina and I go to her. She points to a section that says, Collection. From there I get my passport and check to see my cancelled visa. The lady at the counter, with a confused expression, asked why I applied for visa cancellation. I explained briefly and she just shook her head in disbelief, and she said it wasn't needed in the first place. I opened my cancelled visa and right there across the page in bright red with a bold lettered stamp is cancelled, across my face and personal details, and in tiny words, without prejudice. My heart sinks because for a minor moment I feel like some sort of criminal. I made my way back to Kevina and submit my passport for my student visa application. She stared at me blankly and said, submission is from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and collection is from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. I looked at her in shock. She said, come tomorrow to submit. Not her fault, it's the office's policy which she failed to disclose to me. Anyway, I'm back again on the 3rd consecutive day to submit my passport. Kevina smiled at me. I'm relieved as she fills a form out and writes down my details. I don't have to interact with her ever again. A week later, I'm back to collect my passport. I see Kevina across the room as I collect my stuff. As I checked my visa, I realized that my new student visa expires on the day I finish my classes. So they were expecting me to go to class and then go straight to the airport and fly back home? I went back to the lady at collection and pointed that out, and she said they only follow what's written in the forms, which Kevina filed. At this point, I'm done with Kevina. I don't want to talk to her again. I don't want to even see her again. I already was missing the first week of my class, had to rebook my air ticket, not entirely her fault, and wasted 3 additional days thanks to her brilliant idea of canceling my previous visa, which was already an unnecessary step. And now I had to leave on the day my class ends, not to mention I would have to make up for this entire week of lost classes. Anyway, I leave, I'm done. Thankfully, when I got to Italy, the officials there were very helpful and much smarter. They couldn't exactly extend my visa, but gave me a letter that allowed me to stay an additional 2 weeks, and my school supported by giving me documents that stated since I missed the beginning, I would have to stay back for a bit. God bless and guide anyone who had to go to Italy from Mumbai and had to be assisted by KEVINS. Till date, I have that cancelled section of my passport since both my new passport and old one are bound together. I always get nervous when I apply for visas because I don't want them to reject me based on that. Yeah dudes, you heard it right. Be nice to government officials even if they are absolutely inept at their jobs, because they do have the power to say, nah, you're not getting this. Our next Kevin comes to us from Paper Lover, a horde of Kevins. I used to work for a company filled with Kevins. The stories below are about different Kevins, not just one. To be fair, all of these Kevins were very kind people. One Kevin couldn't remember the name of the company she worked for. When answering the phone, she frequently used a slightly wrong company name, or left out one of the words in the company name. One Kevin didn't know how to use Excel, so he just calculated on scrap paper and entered the results in Excel. However, his math skills were not better than his computer skills, so the results were wrong. One Kevin didn't know how to make basic shapes in PowerPoint. He called me so I could explain it to him. He was almost 30 years old, so not a boomer. One Kevin sent me a scanned newspaper image and proposed I used it for a sort of ad campaign. I had to explain that we can't just use it because there are copyrights. Also, the image was pixelated because it was just scanned newspaper. One Kevin could not find the tab key on his keyboard. I told him it's the one with 2 arrows. With these instructions, he found it. One Kevin accidentally sent a package to the wrong address because he mixed up the sender address and the recipient address, so he accidentally sent the package to himself. One Kevin asked me why stock images have a watermark on them. He was shocked to learn that stock images usually cost money, and that the watermark is supposed to protect them from being used without paying. One Kevin insisted she couldn't log in. After a while, it became apparent that she couldn't log in because she was already logged in, which is indicated by an entirely different screen and access to a bunch of protected information. I have some stories that are even more stunning in their Kevinness, but I can't share those without revealing my identity. Our photo post for the day comes from Vexy, Kevin's new bike. This Kevin was one of my girlfriend's World of Warcraft friends. Their birthdays were 9 days apart, and he asked to come visit us to celebrate them together. She agreed. Then his 2-week visit was him showing up 6 weeks early on a one-way ticket to look for work here and move into our area. But that is another story. Kevin had lost his driver's license back where he was from and was unable to drive, so he decided to buy himself a new bike here. My girlfriend took him to the local Walmart, about 3 miles away, to make his purchase. After buying the bike and discovering that the tires were not aired up well enough to ride it home and it wouldn't fit in either of our cars, they came home and we took him back up with a small portable air compressor I kept in my trunk. We get back to the Walmart and I fill his tires. He starts patting down his pockets and announces that he doesn't have the key to the chain he locked it up with. I ask him if it was the key on the table in the kitchen, and he tells me, "No, I had it in my pocket." I look at him because he had on shorts and flip-flops when he bought the bike, and changed into jeans when he returned home before going back. I sigh as he declares, "I'll just have to get it tomorrow then." I get home from work the next day and ask the girlfriend if she took him up to get his bike. She tells me that she had been waiting all day for him to get up, and eventually had to leave for work at 4 p.m. I finally take him up and point out a side road he could go down to avoid a bit of traffic on the main road. He tells me he's just trying to pay attention so I don't get lost. I respond with, "Okay, forget that. Main road, straight shot, turn at the CVS and you know your way from there." I drop him at Walmart and watch him unlock the bike to ensure he brought the key this time, and head home. I get home and my 10-year-old comes from Grandpa's next door to greet me and we talk a bit before going inside. I start cooking dinner and she comes to help. After the burgers are done and the fries are in cooking, I go and do a quick Google search, step back into the living room and ask her how long we should give him before we start to get concerned. She looks at me puzzled. "Well, Google says it's a 21-minute bike ride from Walmart." "How long has it been?" "An hour." She looks at me, smiles and says, "Let's give him till the fries are done." Fries are done and I make each of us a plate of dinner. My girlfriend calls me on break at her work, and I run through the same spiel with her. At this point, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. I tell her, "There were sirens about 45 minutes ago. Maybe he got hit by a bus." Not that I'm hoping, or maybe he's nearly to blank by now. Like, I don't remember passing a casino on the way to Walmart. Oh well. Or maybe he's halfway across blank by now. Like, I don't remember riding a ferry to Walmart. Oh well. She asks if I tried calling him and I tell her, no, I don't have his number and quite frankly, I don't want it. She calls him and texts me that he's now about a block away from home. I sit in my office enjoying my dinner in front of my computer when I hear Kevin come in through the front door. He steps in the office behind me, breathing heavily, like someone who had just run a wind sprint. I turn in my chair to see he's soaking wet. Did it start raining?
No, I went to where the bay ends, where the water just stopped.
I look at him confused and he tries to show me on the map still up on my screen. I see where he's talking about and say, you went down Redacted Road. Yeah, you could take that straight to the CVS as well.
No, I went down and along the beach of the bay.
I am now really confused. The bay doesn't have a beach the whole way around. Kevin triumphantly declares,
Yeah, when I ran out of beach, I had to walk my bike through the bay. There was a point where I found a flat spot to ride on, but misjudged the depth of the drainage dip and nearly wrecked my bike and almost broke my leg.
I just look at him, confused and slightly amazed at the level of stupidity. You have like zero sense of direction, don't you?
I do, but I don't remember roads. I just know what direction I have to go and try to follow the roads that probably lead that way.
Do you remember me driving through the bay to take you to Walmart?
No.
Then why the fuck did you leave the road?
It was just my pioneering mentality, I guess.
P.S. Funny side note, about a week after this, he was having trouble with his bike not wanting to shift gears. I took a look and discovered the culprit. Here's the problem, your shifter cable is rusted into the sleeve.
Rust? Already? On a brand new bike?
You took it through the friggin' bay. That's salt water.
I didn't know it was salt water or what it would do to my bike.
Well, alright my dashing dudes, that is going to do it for today's episode of r/Stories About Kevin. I hope you enjoyed the stories, and if you did, I'll link them down in the description as always so you can go give them a check. And if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, and a comment down below with what you'd like to see me read next. A huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed in the past few months. We're at 108 subscribers right now, and I just can't tell you how thankful I am for you guys. It makes me so happy to be able to do these videos and to be able to put out stuff that y'all are liking. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.